Hi, it's Patty from Wakanda Area Library, and I'm here with our January adult craft class where today I'm going to teach you how to make fabric hanging hearts. We're going to be using some fabric that I already have cut out in the heart shape. It should have a nice clean edge because I used the Ellison die cut machine. And everybody has a different color embroidery floss. We are using embroidery floss because we want it to show. It's part of the design. So I purposely chose contrasting colors so we get this nice rustic winter look for Valentine's Day, and you can hang it anywhere from a doorknob, a window latch, coat hooks would look nice, or even just wrap it around a candle or lay it on a table. This is something that you can use every year. So in your kit, everybody has 4 hearts. You have some wooden beads to hang on this twine. I made this one first and then I just thought it needed a little something extra. So I put some wooden beads in there if you would like to use those. And of course some fluff that we're going to use to stuff them, to give them a little dimension. So first I'm just going to go over some basic stitching. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that probably are much better at stitching than I am. I just have basic skills, but for those of you that don't know them, I can pass them on to you. What I'm showing you in the video on this one is just called the running stitch, where you just go in and out the whole time. So this is the sample that I used for the video. Another one that you can use is called the straight stitch. And of course, how we want to start all of the sewing projects is with a knot in the back. And then you're going to start. For this project, to sew the 2 hearts together, we're going to do about arm's length of the embroidery floss. So everybody has plenty of embroidery floss. If you make a mistake, cut it off and start over. So this one I just want to show you. If you want to use a different stitch, you would just put the 2 pieces together. You are going to sew them with the patterns out. So you have the design on both sides. And for the straight stitch, it's easy. You just loop it and you hold. I didn't think it was big enough. If you want, you can pin the 2 pieces together, but since the hearts are so small, I thought it was pretty easy to just hold them together. So with this sample, I just have one. All you're going to do is pinch the 2 pieces together if you want to do this stitch. Whatever stitch you decide to use, you're going to stitch about 3/4 of the design and stop so you can stuff it with your fluff. And you probably have more than enough fluff too. So when we get to that point, don't overstuff it because then you won't be able to sew it shut. So just take your time with the stitching so your thread doesn't get tangled. So you get this one. It's just over. And this is why it's nice to have a video class. You can get a nice close-up. Pull it through. Take your needle to the bottom. You would be poking it up through both pieces of fabric. Bring your fingers back up and pull it through. If you're having a problem with your embroidery floss knotting, just go really slow, put your finger through it and drag it through. And of course, you seasoned sewers out there can always fast forward to this part. You may not even have to watch the video. So this is called the straight stitch. If you want it different from the other one that I'm doing, or it's just good to know what these are called. And this other one is a blanket stitch. This one can be done when you have a little bit more fraying on the edges. This is my least favorite for this project, but you can. I have 2 pieces here. If you had something you were sewing together and the edges were fraying, This is nice because you get the threading right along the side. So you start the same as the straight stitch. You start on the bottom, poke it up, but before you get to the end, hold your finger here, and it's just one extra loop. So you loop extra right through there. And when you do that, you get that piece on the edge. So let's try one more. Come up from the bottom. There's the needle. Pull it all up. Put a finger out and hold that thread. Right before you get to the end, come down again and go through this loop. And then just tighten. So again, I don't think this is the best stitch for this project, but now you know it for another project. So this is the blanket stitch. You can do the straight stitch, but now I'm going to show you my favorite is just the running stitch. So let's go ahead and get started with these instructions, and I'll show you what I did. So first, if you want to use the beads, I would take your fabric hearts and your twine. So set the other two aside, put these down, and I used a little bit of Mod Podge, and I glued this twine inside the hearts. Why Mod Podge? Because look, when it dries, you really see nothing through the fabric. Any sort of fabric glue, an Aleene's, anything. If you use hot glue, it might bleed through the fabric a tiny bit unless you're able to use just the littlest bit. So the only thing with the Mod Podge or Aleene's, you have to set it aside to dry. I already threaded the wooden beads through. So at the end of the project, what we'll do is we'll push those down like that. So if we were finished here, it's gonna look like that, which I think is super pretty. Takes a little bit of time to get this, so if you have a large needle with a big eye, it's easier to get the twine through the needle and then just hoop in, slide in the beads right over the needle. So I'm going to start with that, set that aside to dry. Now I want you to open up your embroidery floss and get about an arm's length of floss. All I do with the embroidery floss is put it through the needle and let it hang there. Just be careful not to pull it out. And then at the end, I did a double knot here so it doesn't come through the fabric. I think it's best, we're going to start down on the tip down here. So we're going to take this other heart, we're going to have both patterns facing out, just like that. And when you start a project, remember you just poke a hole through one. I think it's nice to start down at the bottom. Why are we doing just through one at the start? That's to hide the knot on the inside. Now line up both of your hearts, and we're going to start the running stitch. So I have that, and all we're going to do is hold both pieces of fabric together, and look at that. I already lost my needle because I'm moving around here. So let's put that through. Okay. Pinch your fabric together, and now go down, and you're just going to keep going down and coming back up. Pinch the two together. Try to make your stitches even. I would say the first couple are the hardest. Once you get going, it goes pretty fast. And then come back down, like so. hold it. And come back up. So let's do one or two more together. Back down. And why don't we keep going to the 3/4 mark? Then we can stuff our hearts. And see how much of an opening I have. And just tear the fluff up. Really, you won't need much, but you just want to get it in the little curves of the heart. So you're just going to take a little bits. Let's go into the top of the stitched side. And let's take a little more. So just put a little more on the side that's all stitched, and then when you're done, usually you can work the fluff around. So let's get this other curve. So about 3 little balls like that. You don't want to overdo it because then you want to break your stitching and you don't want it coming out. You want to be able to hold this with all of the stitching inside. So get your needle back up and just pinch it together. Here we go. Don't pull too tight. Okay. Try to keep your stitching about the same length. Okay, I see what's happening here. My embroidery floss just got tangled. So I'm just going to trim that. That's why my thread keeps getting tangled up. Okay. So I am not making all these mistakes on purpose. Of course, when I wasn't videotaping the first hearts, I had no issues whatsoever. Probably because I'm talking to you the whole time, I'm having all kinds of difficulty. So we're on our last couple stitches here. Just keep holding it together. I'm going to push that knot from the beginning in. This will probably be my last regular stitch. There. Smooth that out. Just like so. And now for the last stitch, just like in the beginning, just come through here, pull it through, and then we're going to knot it. Take that. And you make a final knot, and because you put it on the inside, you'll just shove it right inside the heart, and then you'll cut the end. And now we're going to come back and I'm going to sew the other side, and I'll show you the finished product with the beads. All right, I hope you enjoyed this super simple craft. I will be back in just a minute with our final product. Here we are with our finished product of our hanging hearts. I wanted to show you with the beads and without the beads. I don't think you can go wrong either way. Thank you for watching my video with all my sewing bloops and blunders. You know I did that on purpose. I just wanted to show you. Even if you make a mistake, they can turn out absolutely stunning. I love these. I hope you're looking forward to this class, and also please watch. I will be sending out the link shortly for our next adult craft class at Wakanda Area Library, and it's going to be an embroidery hoop wreath. No sewing for this one is required, but I hope you enjoyed the basic sewing skills that we learned here if you didn't already know them. And I will see you soon at our next virtual adult craft class through Wakanda Area Library. Bye for now.